Hello everybody and welcome. My name is Marius. I am working for DB Schenker, one of the global logistics providers, and there I'm leading the Digital Innovation Department in the APAC region. Today it is my honor to hold the keynote for this year's CXO Data Intelligence Summit. The suggested topic for this keynote was the key to data analytics success. Certainly a rather broad topic. It was also implied that change management has to do with that, and I would certainly agree. Therefore, for this presentation today, I would like to share my thoughts. What are actually some of the key success factors for data and analytics projects? I have clustered those thoughts into 4 categories: mindset, leadership, organization, and people. So let's start with mindset. Mindset certainly has several angles. It could be the mindset of an organization, it could be mindset of individual people, mindset of teams, and so on. So let's start with the organizational level. The main thing to me that is crucial for making data as a topic in general successful is to demystify it. I understand that's often the opposite of what maybe consultants want you to think. But in the end, data analytics is not too different from previous innovation approaches or innovation technologies. It's something new, but not as new as, let's say, literally rocket science. So therefore, one thing I like to say is data science is not rocket science. You can get it, you can get into it, the people can get into it, and certainly also the leadership of a company. Therefore, it's crucial to demystify it. Data science, data analytics is not something that only a limited few can actually do. No, it's comparatively easy. You can get into it with the right tools. You can compare it maybe to what was Excel 20-25 years ago. It was also seen as something, I would assume, I'm unfortunately too young to really know that period, but I would assume it was very new compared to other approaches, but in the end, it's just a different way to calculate things. And data analytics, similarly, is a new way to look at data, to look at big chunks of data, to analyze it, and to make sense of it. And why would we assume only few people can do that? No, almost everybody can do that. It's just getting into it, and hence the right mindset is crucial. It is not something for a few, it's something for everybody, and we have to provide the tools and also the patience and the time and the training opportunities to as many people as possible. And this mindset also comes down to the individual level, maybe of a data scientist. I still often get the experience when I talk to data scientists, independent if they are from my organization or from others, that they perceive themselves as something very futuristic or something, let's say, very academic. And while this may be true to a certain extent, the question is, how crucial is this for organizations? And what attitude should we have in an organization to solve actual problems? Should the scope, for example, be limited to truly AI applications or very specific predictive applications? Or, if need be, can we also do something more down to earth just to help our colleagues? And I would certainly say the second is something that I would propose. If it helps, we should do it. And we should, by this, also then gain trust in the organization. It means we as data analytics people, as data scientists, however we want to call us, we should not be perceived as something on the fringe. We should be perceived as something rather normal that a company has to have and that a company benefits from. This has implications on how we talk to other people. Do we, for example, do gatekeeping? Do we use words that we kind of know only we understand, or do we try to explain it in ways that everybody can understand it? This is all part of the mindset. Are we part of something, or are we a special entity within a bigger one, and also want to be perceived as such? And when it comes to the self-perception, we always have to keep in mind an organization is made of many employees, many people with their own thoughts. So we have to ask ourselves, are we doing it in the way that people want to work with us? Are they maybe forced to work with us? Do they maybe not really want to? Has our mindset to do with that? So are we behaving in a way that people actively enjoy working with us? And this is also crucial for the mindset that we as data analytics people have to have. Let's move on to the second aspect, leadership. Why is leadership so important for data analytics? Well, you can say, of course it is. Leadership is important for everything. However, particularly for a comparatively new aspect like data analytics, at least new in some companies. Why is that? Because in the end, as already mentioned, it's change management. And change is always hard, no matter what kind of change. Change is hard. People are usually not so keen on change, especially if they don't know the outcome of it, which is often the case with change. Therefore, leadership plays a crucial part in terms of how the organization, how then our teams approach change and the innovation topics such as data analytics as well. In short, leadership in this case means you have to take people along for the journey. And how can the leadership do that? Well, most of all, they have to own it, and they or we have really to make sure that, and this is also understood, that we don't just talk about it, that we really come along. What does this mean specifically? On the one hand, of course, it has to do with allocating the right budgets, giving people the time that they need to work on certain topics important to us, such as data analytics topics. But it's certainly more than that. It also means just being open for new approaches, being aware that these approaches may fail, and then also publicly acknowledging that it is okay that they can fail. How can we do that? By, for example, the easiest thing, not punishing people for failure, but just to make sure that even a failure is something the organization can learn from. And this we as leaders have to do publicly. We can actively help in projects by, for example, maybe participating in projects and give feedback. If projects are run, for example, in an agile manner, there would be things like a review meeting where we can, as leaders, take part and then give feedback and just show that we care for these projects, that they are important, because only if the leaders do, the organization will follow. So to summarize the leadership aspect, in the end it means data analytics or any kind of innovation must be lived. If the leaders don't live it and take it seriously, it is an uphill battle that the respective teams will not win. The third aspect has to do with organization. Now, this is certainly a topic which is more company specific, but let's try to assess some basic ground rules that I have noticed throughout the years that should be in place if we want to succeed in a new topic. Approach or perspective that I like to use is the orbit. Data analytics teams in this case should orbit around the organization. What does that mean? On the one hand, they shouldn't be too close to the organization. If they're too close to it, then, assuming the organization is a rather big one, it means they may be dragged down by a certain degree of risk aversity, by complex processes, by very detailed decision-making processes, things that take a very long time. And this is something that we typically don't want in projects, especially with high uncertainty, that we just have to try and see if it works out. And if it doesn't, we stop it very quickly again, or we pivot. Therefore, this orbit is crucial. I mentioned one part of it, being not too close to the organization. The other thing is we shouldn't also be too far from it either. So we shouldn't just leave the orbit and go wherever we want. Why is that? Because we still have to bring value to the organization. We still have to create things that are meaningful to our colleagues, that make sense to them. Therefore, we should stay in the orbit, not too close and also not too far. The other part of the organizational aspect is where should department, a team, a center of excellence, however we want to call it, be placed that deals with, for example, data analytics? So this depends on how your company is structured. If you, for example, have a divisional structure, meaning product by product, and I highly recommend to not connect the new team to any kind of existing division, even though it may be the most promising division or the most successful division, maybe even the division that can afford it and the others can't. Why wouldn't I recommend it? Because oftentimes new topics and data analytics topics tend to be in that category as well. They benefit from combining aspects that the organization hasn't considered to combine before, meaning they are cross-functional, they're cross-divisional, something like that. Therefore, if there's a chance to place this team into a certain cross-functional area, this is highly recommended in order to get the best approaches and the best ideas into it and running. This brings us to the last aspect that I want to talk about, and that is people, probably the most important one. So for people, there are many things we could talk about. Certainly the specific mindset, if we want to connect it to the first topic again, is important here. And about that, I could talk already for hours. So if you want to know my thoughts about what I perceive to be a digital innovation mindset, feel free to approach me on, for example, LinkedIn. Today, I want to focus on two topics which are less discussed, which I, however, find very crucial as well. The first aspect is what kind of, let's say, categories of people do we actually want to have in a team that drives new topics? And from my experience, it's two kinds of people at least. The first kind is what I call the evangelist. An evangelist is a very outgoing person, enjoys talking to others, and other people enjoy talking to him or her. They are able to bring a certain drive into the organization. They talk to a top management, they talk to externals, they like to get things going, and they like to get things started. On the other hand then, you also need people who then do and execute. And those people I call the implementers. In a perfect world, an evangelist is also an implementer, but from my experience, this is quite rare. Why is that? Because an evangelist are typically, as mentioned, outgoing people, and going to the nitty-gritty details of things and actually dealing with the problems at hand may entertain them, but in most cases, not so much. It's just a different kind of person. And therefore, on the other hand, we also have the implementers that then sit down, get to the bottom of the problem, solve the problem, maybe don't enjoy that much to talk to half of the organization, don't enjoy to be in the limelight of things, but just enjoy getting things done, enjoy solving problems. And it's those kind of two people that we at least need in a team to succeed when it deals with new aspects like data analytics. The other aspect when it comes to people is where should they come from? Should they be developed internally? Should they come only from external sources? Should they maybe even only come from consultancies? So here my experience is the best thing is a mix. It sounds simple, but it's still true. So on the one hand, we need some people who understand deeply how the organization works. However, that should not be the majority. Why? Because if you have been in an organization for a while, you automatically get used to the narratives in the organization. You get used to what are the perceived boundaries. Therefore, big innovations usually come from the outside. So we need a good mix of people from the inside and also from the outside, and that can be from totally different industries. From my experience, this is even a plus. Yes, in the beginning, the onboarding of those people may be a little harder, but it is certainly beneficial in the end, because it's those people who then ask questions, why have we always done it like that? And you would be surprised how oftentimes you don't really have an answer besides because it has always been done like that. So to summarize, from my perspective, it is those four things above others that we have to keep in mind if we want to get comparatively new projects, ideas or categories or approaches successful? Mindset, leadership, people, and the organizational part. All right. I hope this was interesting to you. I wish you a very successful and hopefully similarly interesting conference. Thank you.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.